Hello and welcome to Paddock. Today I'm going to look at mapping in BPAM, and this is just going to give us like a clean image. There is no satellite image in BPAM, so if you're looking for a map with a satellite image, that would be across in Web App, but today we're going to work in here. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that the mapping tab is enabled in your advisor or manager program. So go to options on the left, click on mapping along the top, expand general, and just make sure that this enable mapping, create, edit, and view is set to true. If not, just use the drop down, select it, apply, and then confirm by clicking OK. So I'm going to jump into a client file and let's look at some options here. Okay, so I'm in a client file here. I do have some different crops selected. I'm back in 2025, but we want to go to the mapping tab along the top. And the first thing we're going to do is pull up our boundaries. So click on this show boundaries option here, select the drop down and click on show paddock names. Now that's going to give you just our default outlined paddock boundary map. If that's all you're after, what you would do next is click on use printer ratio to see how it would look as a piece of paper. I'm going to zoom rectangle. You can zoom for an individual farm, so like a section like this one. You can click on zoom all to give the best zoom for everything, and you can also adjust your orientation if it suits better to have it on landscape versus portrait. So I'm going to change back to this one. I'm going to zoom all. Okay, so now I'm going to make some modifications. My outlines are quite light. I'm going to change those to black, and I'm also going to have a look at some of these labels. So I'm going to click on this set layer formatting and properties option here. I'm going to go to polygon and I'm going to change my outline to black. Click OK. So I can see in the background there that's a little bit darker. I'm going to change the width to 1, confirm, and click OK. If I click on the top half of that printer icon there, that gives me a print preview. And I can just check on all of these. It looks like some of my fonts may be too large and I'm not seeing all of the paddock names. But let me check. I'm going to go to the bottom half of this. I'm going to go to export to PDF, choose a place in the downloads folder. So this one, just map blank. There we go. And then retrieve it from the download to your computer. All right, so that's opened up over here now. Let me just open it up on screen and see how it looks. So this should just be a line map as a PDF. So I can see that it has been successful. Look, this is a great start, but I do want to make some additional modifications to things like the font size. And I've also decided I don't want to do the area and brackets there. So if you are happy with that, fantastic. If not, keep watching and I'll do some modifications to that sort of thing. So I'm going to go back into that little set layer formatting and properties. This time I'm going to go to labels. I'm going to change this to say paddock name only and click apply. Now I can already see the A22 paddock name is now visible. So I'm going to check that. I'm just going to go OK, use the bottom half, export to PDF, and I'm going to call this just paddock names. Save it, and I'm just clicking the little download button there to retrieve it from the server to my computer so that I can open it. Let me do that now. All right, so with just the paddock names now as a PDF, that's looking pretty tidy. So some of them are a bit small. You can see the A1 paddock there is absolutely tiny. So I will just try adjusting the font size a little bit to see if I can make it a little bit more legible. So once again, same place. I'm going to go to labels. This time I'm going to click on font here. Now, a bit of a downer, I can't actually see what size it is here now. So I'm going to go a size 7. Okay, apply. And I can just see behind there that looks a little bit smaller. So let's try one more time. Now I do keep exporting because it does appear slightly differently on screen than it does once you've actually exported it. So let me just get that font smaller, open it up over here. Let's see if that's actually made a difference. I'll zoom out a bit. Okay, so it's really quite a similar size. That A1 is still a little bit hard to see, but it is legible. So I'm going to be okay with that, but you can see how to adjust it if you did want to keep tweaking it. Now, the next thing that I want to do is actually put crop colors on it. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. Now, I have updated my crop colors in my master database, so I'm just going to use the predefined layers crop type and load that on, which is going to give me some fields that do have the colors here. Now, I am going to just print preview that one. I can see my little legend here. I can see my different options. I'm going to close preview on that one. And once again, I'm going to just export to PDF. Colors. Save. And retrieve. And open. All right, so that gives me my little legend, my crop colors. You can see some of my boundaries are thicker than others, and that's just because the colors are on top of the boundaries, if that makes any sense. I can see enough of my paddock names, but let me just see what else I can do. I'm going to go a little bit rogue. I'm going to area table wrap all vector layers. Now this is going to give me my paddock names in my areas, and I also want to see if I can move that layer to the top, but that's going to change my names there. So let me try jumping into my crop layer, going to my polygons. Now each of these has a different little drop down here because each of those colors are actually sort of uniquely rendered so that you can play with them all and do, hatching if you want to or whatever else. So I'm going to jump through all of them and update them all so that they have a black boundary with width 1 instead of the existing grey with 0 width. 1, apply. I thought I said 1. Apply, okay. All right, so I should look a little bit more consistent now. Let's see how this looks. So I'm going to print preview, I'm going to export. It's been a while since I've done this table, so let's see. I'll retrieve it. I'll open it. Okay, so unfortunately the table has not wrapped around very well with this option, and my legend there would need to move. So let me just check which option I selected. I did select all vector layers. Try selected layer. And I'm also going to move my legend. This is getting very technical now. I'm going to move my legend up a little bit. So at the moment it's 50. Let's just go 20. Apply. Okay. Now this could be a mess. Let's just call it mess. Test mess. And retrieve it. And we'll open it. Yeah, so it looks like this table, unfortunately, when I choose that export option, is just going to sit on top of everything. So I could move my map over to kind of make it fit a little bit better because I don't think that will work. The other option that we do have is to go to this print option here, go to print, and then we can save as a PDF. The only thing is when we do this, sometimes it gets a bit blurry, but it does keep that table wrapping. So it's kind of a bit of a toss up. Let's open this one. Yeah, so you can see we do have a very different result. We've got quite a neat, tidy, very small little table here, which is wrapped neatly around everything, but our sort of edges are a bit pixelated rather than them being so clear. And there's also usually a slight difference in the color that's exported between these two different options. So you do have the choices. Of course, we can turn this, this off. So let me close preview out of that. We're just going to turn off the area table wrap. And we can export that one to PDF. So I know there's been a lot of different options here. I just really kind of wanted to show you what you can play with in BPAM mapping. I'll open that up again. Okay, so that gives us a nice little, a nice little clean looking map. Good text. The legend, I've moved a little legend up a little bit. That's looking pretty nice. The last thing I might like to do is put heading on the map. So if I want to put a heading on the map, it's actually through the use of a mapping project. So now that everything is here the way that I want it to, I'm going to create a new mapping project, and I'm going to call this one nice heading. Click OK. All right, so if I'm just going to tick on heading on screen. If I print preview this, I can see that my heading is actually not visible there. So what we want to do is go into the options here. We're going to go to map heading. Show map heading needs to be set to true, and a size 5 is very small. So let's go a 14. Apply. OK. Print preview. It's not showing it yet, but that doesn't mean it won't. Let's go to export to PDF and see if it's going to be there. Export it, retrieve it, we'll open it. Okay, still not there. Let's go back here and see where, it's because I need to load it. All right. So down here under mapping projects, I need to actually load it, even though I've created it. There, nice heading. Click on the red arrow icon thing to load it. Now it's there. So now if I do this export to PDF, oops, heading yes, and retrieve it. I'm going to have lots of those, and then I'll open it. Where have I got it? I'll just go over here. Okay, so I've now got sort of a map with a heading. I've got some colors. I've got a nice thick boundary around everything. I've got a legend. So that's looking pretty good to me. I'll probably leave it there. If you have any questions on what else you can do, please let me know. There is a lot you can do in Advisor mapping. It is disabled by default because Web App has primarily replaced it. Web App does give you the ability to just screenshot your sort of map image with the satellite image behind it. So it is definitely a great option if you do need that satellite image. But if you're just looking for a plain sort of line map, then this is still available if you need it. Thanks for joining me on this long one. Have a great day.